I don't have sleeves. I'm cold. It's fine.
You're free.
Try being Natsu. I have one sleeve and then just nothing.
That's incredibly lopsided.
It's very awkward. One side's burning hot, the other's just freezing cold.
So, I doubt you need it, but why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Hi. I mean, we'll sort of, yeah. We're going to kind of get into introductions, but like, hi, welcome to the panel. It's about being a YouTuber because for some reason people think we're qualified. You ask us, you know, are we? Whoever is. But since you're here, I guess for some reason you think you care. So hi, we're here to talk to you and like we kind of know what we're doing. It's fine.
We've stumbled our way through YouTube, and we want to pass that stumbling on to you.
I'll take
Through life. I mean YouTube, yes.
You like YouTube, yes.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Perfect.
And I get to a job and they say, what's your qualifications? I say, I have subscribers.
Well, I have subscribers.
You didn't even define how many he had.
It's not important. It's just a number, baby.
Wow. So yes, welcome to So You Want to Be a YouTuber.
Hi. And as I like to call it, it's a war zone for relevance.
And you coined that. I loved that.
Thank you. I'm pretty proud of that one.
Yeah, you should be.
So for introductions, we'll sort of talk about each of us and sort of our background on YouTube real fast, so you can decide if you actually want to stay here or not. Let's be honest.
Yes, there's one person in the crowd going, I don't know, but I'll figure it out by the second slide.
I'll be the judge of that. Tell me everything.
I like Dear God Help Me. That's the most best part of this right now.
Oh yeah, no, that's literally the entirety
we'll
of it. That's the whole thing that encompasses everything.
Oh yeah.
So, well, hi. So, I'm Uptown Cosplay. What do I do? I'm a cosplayer, obviously, and my YouTube channel basically kind of comprises of various shenanigans and things I've decided to film and put on the internet for someone's enjoyment if they want it. Whether it's lip sync performances that I've done, in-character panels that I do at cons or out-of-character ones, which is more of a recent thing. Walking around in public in cosplay and reveling in people's confusion. An occasional like review of wigs because for some reason companies send me stuff and they're like, your opinion matters, and I'm like, free wigs?
Free wigs. Free wigs.
Sure. I'll totally use it for something. What do I use it for? I have a drawer in my bedroom that's just full of lace front wigs that I don't know what to do with. Someday I'll just maybe dye them all darker colors and figure something out.
I'm sure somebody else is like, give them to me.
Hello? It's me. I've been looking for wigs forever. Who knows? Maybe we'll just auction them all off one day. Why am I doing this? Hi, I don't know the answer to that. Because I honestly just hope that somebody enjoys it. That's literally the only reason. I wasn't expecting anything out of it. Like, I've had my YouTube channel since like 2012, but I didn't really start actually putting things on it until like a couple of years later. And so like in the past like year and a half has been when I've been more active on it. And I just do it because like I enjoy what I do because I do it for fun. And if somebody else gets enjoyment out of it and I can brighten up someone's day, then that's really all I'm asking for. How?
I feel like that's the rest of the panel.
Basically. The how is kind of what we're going to get into and talk about. And then when I sort of cover that, like 2012 was when I created my channel, but there's like fun fact, like first video I ever posted was actually an AMV before I actually like got into cosplay. It's not good, but like whatever, nobody ever really finds it. Once every like 5 months I'll see a comment notification of like, oh my god, that feeling when you find baby Uptown. I'm like, why are you here? Ah! Oh god, the dark days.
Dark days.
But like the past year and a half has been when I actually like consider myself being on and like present on YouTube, because that's when I actually started doing something with it. And then, dear God, help us both.
Oh,
what are we doing with our lives? What is YouTube? It's all a big mystery, and we'll talk about it a lot.
I don't even think YouTube knows, honestly.
They really don't.
No, they don't.
At all. So who the heck are you?
Oh, I don't know. Hi, everyone.
Do we ever?
No, we don't. My name is Zaxel. I am primarily a Let's Player on YouTube, but recently I've been branching into writing a few other side projects, such as a new creepypasta channel. Oh, there it goes.
Hi, you're rude.
Maybe shake the mouse a little.
I wiggled it, nothing
Searching all
happened.
sources. There it goes.
I wiggled it harder and something happened. Okay, we're good.
Yes.
No one breathe.
No. They're like, oh god, it's gone. My visual cues. I'm primarily a Let's Player, but I'm branching slowly into creepypasta as well as a few other things. I've also we did YouTube for a long time in the form of Anime Hunters with Dane, my good friend Zerky Durkey. We did Anime Hunters way back when I was like 16, 17 years old. And I'm 29 now, so just for reference in the
For
years,
context.
we don't have to talk about how long ago that was. But
Don't do the math, just
don't do it, just go with it. So we did Anime Hunters for a long time, which is how we actually started hosting Kumoricon for a long time. Slowly, YouTube became more of a platform for people to actually build an audience and whatnot. It used to obviously just be like, oh, post your funny video here, and there wasn't like the big names that everybody went to for constant substance. That's when it kind of started butting into that. Just recently, more so recently, I actually became like an actual established doing this repeatedly YouTuber a couple of years ago. So primarily Let's Play is going to be doing a lot of fun stuff coming up here pretty soon. Why? Oh, why? Because, I mean, the general reasoning is kind of along the lines of what you said, is that I make something that I enjoy doing. I don't do it out of any kind of like, I have to do this, because otherwise the great and powerful YouTube gods are going to smite me.
as they always inevitably do.
They do. That's how we all go. I do it because I really have fun, and I hope that somebody else is having fun with me in that sense. It's really not just like me putting up a video and being like, there it goes. It's more like, here's this, and please talk to me and engage me, and I want to have fun with you.
It becomes more of like a community interactive experience rather than just like, hi, I'm doing this for me, and like, I don't really care. Like, and a lot of it is kind of doing it for yourself, but like, being able to put it out there for somebody else and know that like, hey, if somebody gets a laugh out of this or something, then that's pretty cool.
Exactly, and exactly that. The how, obviously, like we've established, the rest of the panel is the how. The when, I think I just said that, like, kind of really became established a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And then the Dear God Help Me, here we go.
Let's get right into it, fellas. So, getting started with YouTube, what is life?
Express yourself. What a generic statement that we should dissect.
A lot of these you're going to hear a lot of like really generic cliches, but a lot of them honestly are so true if you really think about it. It's about being you. Well, gosh diggity darn.
Come on.
You suck.
Would you please unplug that HDMI and plug it back out? Thank you. I appreciate the intention. Oh, there we go. Maybe. This has done this to us
Wait
already.
for it.
And it says to, oh, wait. Somebody's gonna walk in and be like, oh, it's the weird noises panel.
Nope,
Cool.
it hates us.
Okay, that's fun.
Awesome.
Can we get Steven back in here?
Steven!
Steven!
Steven, come back here, please.
Who in here is a staff member?
Steven!
Nobody? Oh, okay, come on.
All right. We worked so hard on these slides too. This is really offensive to
Searching
me
all sources
spiritually.
again. Really? No signal still. That's what happened last time.
Tech is great. Anyway. Do we not have like an actual established panel moderator
Normally
in this
we have a
room? Normally that's a
moderator.
thing, but apparently it's not a thing right now. And
But they're all busy raving.
Steven, stop raving and get back in here.
Honestly, yeah, let's try hitting the power on that. But seriously, it might work.
Have you tried turning it off and turning it on again? Yes,
want-
multiple times.
I want an IT job. Hate to say that all day. Actually, I don't want that job.
It sounds horrible.
True.
I'll take your word for it.
Let's see if this works real quick. Does it turn back on now? I hear it like whirring.
It's thinking, it's stressing out, it's under pressure.
I don't know how long ago they got this.
Cool stuff.
Well, while this warms up and we potentially have to get a staff member to go get somebody to come in here and talk about it.
You want me to go find Steve? I volunteer.
You volunteer?
Bless you and your kind soul. Please do that.
Yeah,
You're
see if you
great.
can find a staff member and they can radio in and find Stephen.
Find Steven or whoever's going to come in here and fix my life.
Radio in. We,
Anyone truly fix your life?
episode. Yeah.
So we have a rectangular white square, and like in your upper, I have to mirror all this. In your upper
Left hand?
right? No, it's not mirror. I'm looking at.
Okay,
it's fine.
all right.
So we have lots of like what? Oh hi.
HDMI?
Okay, cool. I'm gonna unplug this one and then just like stab my computer again. Hi.
The signal says it's off.
HDMI is turned off. One.
No, that's rude. Personality as who you are, and that's
Yes.
really what this is about.
Yeah.
You cannot pretend to be someone that you're not if you think it's going to impress someone, because people see right through that. It's so fake and it gets really old.
Now, and we don't necessarily mean don't present characters necessarily. There's a lot of YouTubers who have different characters, different personas and things like that. Of course, these become established. You can obviously see that's what they're doing. You don't log on to Dirty Frank and say, well, that's exactly who he is.
Right.
You know, or some of Markiplier's characters, or Jenna Marbles, which are some of the characters on the slide describing them right now. There's Markiplier, there's Jenna Marbles, there's Mr. Creepypasta, there's the Game Grumps up top, and then down here we also have,
We have FTP,
yep,
which are guests here, so like I figured I'd include them for context's
Good
sake,
call.
and
Good call.
Creepypasta and things like that.
All
Like
that
everybody has their own flavor because of their individuality as people. And that's really what you want to tap into, and that's really why people stay a lot of the time. Because there are a lot of people on YouTube that do the same sorts of things. Like there are plenty of Let's Players, there are plenty of like makeup gurus, whatever sort of genre and niche you're into in YouTube. But like we all pick our favorites for a reason, and it's because of like the style and how they approach what they do, and then as people that really makes us stay.
it's the way that you connect to them. And I'm sure that many of you can agree that the YouTubers that you watch is somebody that you are attached to in some way. You find some kind of, and maybe it's life, but an emotional connection to them. It's somebody you can relate to on some kind of level. They touch you on some kind of level. Like when I watch Game Grumps, right? Sometimes I'm putting them on as background noise. It's almost like a podcast.
Yeah.
The things they talk about, honestly, hi,
Would you like to help us like fix
get this
everything?
to work maybe, or...
I don't know what's going on.
It
Like
did
it works
work,
for
and
a
then
second, and then it just kind of like decided it hated us.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, like I can
It's
just pick up my
because you-
stuff and go. Like, this is gonna get personal.
I'm going too.
I'm trying.
Hey. So what do we need to do to make sure it stays like that? Then, because we did have it, and then it
What
stopped.
probably happened is it just because of the angle, the gravity's starting to pull it out.
Oh, just push it back in a little bit more. Okay. So what we were doing, but better.
Do it
You have to
better.
do it better.
We just need to be better, Zach.
Move it up.
Turn off. I can't. I'm not allowed to like touch anything.
Really shove it in there.
Duct tape it in or something.
Yeah, for real.
Nope, no signal. Apparently that's
So-
not the problem. No! Stop being mean to my computer, you're gonna hurt its feelings.
Hi, and welcome to We Make Fun of Uptown's Computer.
It's a beautiful color.
It's not what I signed up for. Okay? Just, alright.
Android. Android. Yeah.
It was hard enough to just like get this file onto my
Well,
computer.
we'll go ahead and keep talking while we're doing this, but there's something about Dan and Aaron's experiences and the way they tell their stories that touches me and either gets me laughing or thinking or anything like that. And I can say that for every YouTuber that I watch, you know. And I think that's where that honesty comes in. If you're putting up a front, if you're trying to
Too
pretend to be,
hard.
trying too hard, trying to be somebody else. I've seen Let's Players do it. They want to be Markiplier. They want to be Jacksepticeye, and they put on this like absolute facade. It's not a character, it's them trying to be that person. And I think we'll get into this a little while, but one of my favorite books is maybe? Oh.
Now it's working. I'm so done. What?
We can see all the future slides.
Oh no, you've seen into the future. The whole panel is ruined and spoiled. Well, yeah, we're jumping back into it to see if it works. The projector? Could be. Okay. Well,
that's unfortunate. Okay.
so we'll just do our best, basically.
You know, get cozy, buddy.
Alrighty. So,
Friends here.
Hope you don't have anything better to do.
one of the things, sorry, one of the things I was going on about was one book that you should definitely check out is Steal Like an Artist. It is a fantastic book that talks about how you steal like an artist in the sense that you take what you like from something and then you digest that and put it through into your work. Yes.
What's that title again?
Steal Like an Artist. Oh, fantastic. There you go. You're one step ahead of the game.
You know.
Everyone head down to Powell's and pick it up. They'll have to fight each other. They have like 5 copies.
Duke it out.
For me, that means, yes, take what you love from an artist, digest that, and put it back out into your work.
Let it inspire you. You don't have to regurgitate it word for word. That's basically plagiarism.
That is
which we will bring up again later, but let it, like, taking, I always tell people that it's basically like learning how to write better, at least for me, like read books. I read books to know how to write better because I just read a lot of different things and I observe what other people do that I like, what they're doing well, and then just like nitpick it and be like, okay, what is it about this that makes it so successful in terms of its impact on me personally? And then find ways to put your own spin on it and put that back out into the world.
One of the best ways you can get better as an artist, like drawing, painting, is to trace somebody's work.
Yeah.
But you don't then take that trace and say, look what I did.
Look, it's mine.
It's mine, buy it.
Right.
That's plagiarism.
But it builds muscle memory and it helps you like learn more ways to approach something and to improve in different ways and expand your horizons.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes.
But yes, you'll find your persona and it will evolve. That very threatening text right there.
Yes, and it will
Evolve.
It's okay to change.
It
And
will.
like in a lot of bigger YouTubers, like there's this whole like joke / stigma of like, oh my god, I dyed my hair, obviously everything's different now, or like, oh man, I moved my house and I'm doing the exact same thing, but now everyone's decided I'm different.
Yeah.
But you as a person and a personality, you're allowed to change, and that's just part of growth and learning what it is that you like and what you do well, and learning how to expand in ways that are most constructive to you and your own community that you build as time goes on. And that's okay. And don't let anybody tell you that like you should just stay grounded, because then what is progression?
You don't see a lot of bands listening to their fans, I should say, when they come out with a new album and they say, it doesn't sound like their old stuff. You know, well, that's how art works.
That's
It
kind of the
changes.
point.
Yeah, it's because, and they're not doing it, and this sounds selfish in a way, they're not doing it for you. They're not changing to adapt to something that you want. They're changing because their art is evolving. They are evolving. Yeah. And it's okay if you don't like their new stuff.
You may just continue to follow somebody as they change and you continue to like what they like, or you may decide, you know, it's not really my thing anymore and I'm kind of going to go off in this other direction, and that's totally your prerogative too, as a watcher or a listener or a viewer or whatever you are. It's a mutual relationship and a two-way street.
I like that. It's like a sidecar motorcycle.
Basically. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Right?
Sure.
Next slide.
Anyway, moving on.
Hey, now we're on to more solid
Oh boy,
things.
technology, because we're so good at it.
Oh.
Cam I have.
Oh boy.
Oh, is it? Good. Then you're one step ahead of the game. Man, so many of you guys are on top of the game.
So good. So yeah, equipment. People always like often ask in regards to YouTube and YouTubing and stuff. They're like, what do you use? What's the equipment that you use for what you do? Because I obviously want to be just like you and I need to use exactly what you're using.
Oh.
You really don't. And honestly, to get started, you really don't need almost anything.
I looked up, sorry, I don't mean to like
Oh, no,
interject.
do your thing.
I looked up one of Markiplier's cameras because I was like, what does he use? And not like I gotta have that.
But it's just like curious, like,
Yeah.
what does he use? What are the specs of that thing?
One of his recording cameras was about $2,000.
Yep.
It was one of those mirrorless Sonys or the mirror Sony, I don't know, those ones. A really nice camera. And I was like, that's great, Mark. I don't have $2,000.
Congratulations that you have done this well for yourself. I can't do that.
Oh, so, that camera right there is the camera I have. That camera cost me, at the time, about $60, $70.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So I can afford that.
That's
You know? Yeah, about that,
Basically,
roughly.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Those sales,
I got it for like
though.
62.
More specifically, that was like the Logitech G920, I believe. And they have a better one out now that does a higher resolution, but that's a great one to
Oh,
start
I have the
with.
better one.
Oh, fantastic.
Well, good for you.
But now you're really ahead of the game. Jeez. It is.
I have one left. I got it.
That's good.
But yeah, like, you honestly don't need to start with anything fancy to
No.
find yourself and grow. You can start with just something to literally get you started, and then as you find your success or as you grow or find other directions that you want to go in, you find what kind of equipment suits you for what you do. Because depending what you do, you're probably going to want to invest in something different than somebody else who does something different on YouTube.
But it's like with the camera, obviously, Let's Playing, I don't need a massive DSLR for just doing Let's Plays.
Yeah.
I would drop $1,000 for nothing. I can spend 90 or 100 or less and be just fine. I want to get one because my projects are going to evolve to that and say I need something that moves with me and can film something as we continue different projects. But that changes based on the need.
Exactly.
So you notice up here, we listed the type of equipment that you may use, but nothing particular. So if you come to us and say, what camera do you use? I can tell you which camera I use. It's not necessarily what you need.
It's not going to be
what you're
your
doing.
best fit necessarily.
Not necessarily. But it's like, hey, I want to record Let's Plays, right? Great.
Cool.
There you go.
Narrowed it down a little bit for yourself, and now you can kind of like do a little bit of like homework and research and be like, what do other Let's Players use, and then what's within my bracket of like where I'm at.
Right.
So like cameras obviously are important for YouTube for most things, but like you'll still see a ton of people on YouTube who like just do like voiceover stuff and don't show their face or
Me
anything.
right now.
Right, and so like maybe you can't, like you can strike off a lot of things on this list. You don't even need them at all. This isn't like you need one of each thing to start and then you're set.
Yeah.
No.
You need to accessorize your character completely.
Right, right.
Right.
But like you can strike off a lot of things on this list depending what you're doing. And like for me, for example, a lot of the things on this list I've not even touched.
Which is, again, I think we pointed out, it's that camera, the microphone that says, what are you looking at? It's right there, that's the Blue Yeti. It's a great microphone if you want to do some voice work.
It is. It's very cost effective for the quality that you can get for it, and that's exactly why I bought it. There was like this really great like package on Amazon of like, hey, you can get it in like this color with like one of those like foam like windscreen things over it, and you get like cords and like this and that stuff for like this bundle price on Prime. You'll get it in like 3 days. I was like, sign me the heck up.
Now, keeping that in mind, of course, just starting off, again, if you don't have $100, $150 for the microphone, this is a great starting USB microphone for good quality work. You can start with a $20 Logitech standalone microphone.
Oh, yes.
Or even the one just included on the webcams these days are actually about
They're
equivalent.
not bad.
No,
They're
and-
quite decent.
Yeah. Let me tell you about a time when all we had was that Logitech separate thing when Dane and I used to do a lot of skits, like way back in 2008, 2009 Kumoricon. 2007.
No.
I better stop. 2007, 2008
While you're ahead.
Kumoricon, when Dane and I were recording skits and videos, we used a $20 Logitech microphone, and we would wrap pillow batting around it as a foam screen and a pop filter. It
Yeah.
worked great. Our audio was the belle of the ball at
you
the
go.
cosplay competition.
Sometimes you can just get creative and like figure it out. And there's like tons of like videos on YouTube for how to like make your own like windscreens for microphones without having to actually spend a dime on it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But at the same time, those things are also really cheap these days. If you have Amazon, which almost everybody does these days, Prime, even without Prime.
Even
super
without
cheap.
Prime, like
Yeah.
just like Amazon in general, like
Pretty dang cheap.
it's really good. And like things are just getting so much more accessible now in our day and age that like there are so many more resources available to people now than there used to be even like 5 years ago.
Absolutely. So, I mean, keep in mind where you can start. You have all the possibilities to start dirt cheap. And if that's what you can do now, you should do that. Don't wait for the chance to buy the best or even just a little bit above that, because that may be a while, but you got those ideas in your head now, and you put those out. And I've seen YouTubers with like not top-notch quality stuff,
Yeah.
but their content is engaging.
Right.
This stuff will help you and polish things later. But start by sanding first. You can do the polishing later.
Very true. Good
Yes.
analogy.
Oh, thank you.
So many analogies here. I love it. So good.
Going down that list, more technically speaking, I use the camera, the computer, the microphone, a very small lighting setup. You can get really cheap LED panels, like little like rectangular LED panel with like an adjustment knob on the back that dictates either its warmth or coldness or its brightness. And I got one of those for like $20. And it was too bright, even on the lowest setting. So what I did was I cut out a bunch of squares out of a old white T-shirt and just kind of stapled them together and put it over it. It's like a little sleeve that goes over it, and it dampens it just enough.
Beautiful.
It works great, and I have no need to change and spend more money right now.
There you go. If it works, and there's no shame in it.
Exactly. Editing software, I use Adobe Premiere because, especially if you're a student, the Adobe Cloud is really cheap for students. It's $30 a month for access to all of their creative programs, the most recent Premiere, Photoshop, After Effects, all that stuff.
All those Adobe programs that everybody talks about, you get like the whole shebang.
And
it's
Adobe's
great.
a terrible company. They're evil, and they want
Yeah.
your money.
Yeah.
But they kind of have a monopoly on the whole thing. You have other permanent options. There are I think Corel or Sony Vegas that sells some pretty cheap packages, though you can get those and not have to spend a monthly cost. There are definitely other options.
Yeah.
Yes?
Hand up.
Because I don't really have that much money to spend on an Adobe subscription. And what I kind of plan on doing is using open source software such as Audacity and OpenShot.
Yeah?
Oh yeah, I have Audacity, and that thing is really handy.
I use Audacity for the longest
And
time.
the program that I've been using for a long time to edit my stuff now that I have this Mac is, guess what? iMovie. I edit in iMovie, and that's literally all I do, and it comes with the laptop. I didn't spend anything extra for it.
No.
I have the big package of Adobe stuff from college things and everything, but I haven't felt the need to tap into them really.
Yeah.
So I just haven't, and iMovie's been enough for me
Yeah.
because I like to keep myself pretty low maintenance.
Absolutely, and that works.
And
you
it
know?
works.
I mean, and there's the wonderful thing about open source software is there's becoming so many options. When I record gameplay, I now use OBS Studio. That's an open source software that I didn't have to spend any money on. Yeah,
Yep.
and it's fantastic because now
So
with
good.
that, I can integrate my webcam video in with the gameplay initially right off the bat. And this was the big bane of original OBS, was that the audio was stuck to the video originally, but with OBS Studio, that's actually that's separated. So I don't have my voice over the game audio. I can adjust my volume or my quality of recording from my voice away from the audio of the game. Because normally in old OBS, you would record it, it was just your voice with the game audio on one track.
They just squash it all together, and it's all one thing, and it's
Yeah.
well, if I'm changing one thing, I'm changing everything.
Yep, so I would record in Audacity, I would record in the Logitech software, and I would record on OBS for gameplay. Now with OBS Studio, I just do it all at once, and practically, for my Let's Plays at least, I'm using Premiere to basically chop off the ends and add a dynamics filter to the audio to help change the intensity of my screams when I scream like a little baby when I play horror games. So there's that.
It negates so much need for like that classic thing you'll see on so many videos of like just like asterisk headphone user warning.
Yeah.
We all fear of those.
Oh boy. Yep. So yeah, those are some options. So it's not like I'm saying get Adobe, it's the best, but it's an option, especially if you want to move into things like After Effects. If you're going to be doing some really crazy cool videos and you want to add awesome stuff. I've been playing around with that. It's really, really fun. You can do some cool stuff in it.
Yeah.
However, once you move into After Effects, keep in mind, computer needs to start moving up with it as well.
Yep, it starts to become like its own package. Where like if you want to upgrade something, you might need another thing that's better just to compensate and handle it. Because technology likes to make you do that.
Yep.
So if you're investing in one thing, maybe have yourself a monetary cushion because you're going to need to invest in maybe like 2 other things.
And again, that changes based on what you are going to be doing.
Yep, personal needs.
What else was up there? Miscellaneous sound dampening foam. I have some of that on my wall.
Yep. Blackout curtains,
yeah,
green
green
screens.
all that stuff. Pretty self-explanatory. If you'd like to talk about that later, we can definitely go into depth on that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. Hi, hand.
My friend who has their YouTube channel for their like microphone thing, they just use a sock.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Like it's already like a tube thing. Just like pop it over, boom. So
I will fully admit right now that half of the stuff I do is because aesthetic. I like the way that the foam thing looks and whatnot.
it's so
but it's
satisfying.
It is. So I'm like, I'm even sometimes unjustly spending money on a thing you don't necessarily need because you can put a sock on it and it works great. Because guess what a sound dampening like pop filter is? It's a piece of fabric that you could probably buy at Joann's and just go and put it on top of it. But it's just like, this is made to go on it. So I'm like, $10.
Look how perfect and seamless it was meant to be.
Meant to be.
Look at the beauty.
Like
of
it
this,
was made to fit it.
because it was.
You wasted $10.
Details.
Yes.
But look how pretty it is.
So I use a Turtle Beach headset that I got for $13.
Nice.
The mic on it has like the little pop filter obviously
Yeah.
already. But I mean, I get good quality from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there you
Yeah.
go.
Like I said, you can get some pretty good stuff out of cheap.
Yep.
You don't like
doesn't
it goes
have
back
to
to
be
don't spend
expensive.
big money.
It was a refurbished Turtle Beach headset. It's like they redid like the padding on top
Mm-hmm.
and everything.
Yeah.
So that's why it was like really cheap. But it's actually one of the best headsets I've ever had.
Oh yeah.
And it connects to Xbox also.
Fantastic. So it's even better than
Yeah,
you
so I
have
can
the
do my 360
multi-channel.
stuff.
Oh definitely.
Who here likes the McElroy brothers podcasts, things like that? I recently watched a video in which Travis McElroy talks about when they first started podcasts, and he said the first thing his brother used was a Guitar Hero microphone to record, and he said it sounded terrible, but it was what they had.
But it's what they had. You work with what you have sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Should we take those hands that we just saw?
Yes, there was
Yeah.
one. I saw you over here. Yes, you were the
Yes.
buttons.
I was gonna say, the Yeti, they have one about half as expensive.
Snowball.
Snowball.
Yes.
Yep.
Actually, I have a friend who had the Snowball.
My fiance uses a Snowball.
Yeah, it works great for what it is.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
Over here.
When would you consider someone popular on YouTube?
Oh. Hello.
Jump from equipment.
Boing. Okay.
So,
Gosh, it's so based on personal perception.
yeah, I mean, I have people coming up to, and I do not have as many subscribers as you do. I do not have as many subscribers as Markiplier, Mr. Creepypasta. But I have people who come up to me and say that they love my stuff. And they say, and I've had people shaking me, which is weird to me. Because I'm like, hey, hi, yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah.
So it's like I wouldn't consider myself popular, but there's one person out there who might.
Right. It's like it honestly depends who you ask. Because like
Yeah.
you ask. People ask me all the time, they're like, what's it like to be famous? And I'm just like, you talking to someone else? What? Fame? That word and my name don't belong in the same sentence. What are you
Uptown
talking
is
about?
famous.
See, if you ask this person,
See?
you get a different answer. And I'm like, I don't consider myself famous because, to me, I'm just like the rest of you, and I'm like a normal person.
Whoa,
You
what?
are a god.
Whoa!
I'm like,
You are
real?
a god.
What?
No.
But then you ask people, and it's like, I have a shrine. Okay, true story. So true story. You ask someone else, and they'll give you something like, I printed out 50 pictures of you, and I taped them on the ceiling above my bed so that every time I go to sleep and wake up, I look at your face.
Wait, did you say this is real or not?
True story.
Okay.
And this was like, to each their own. And
Yeah.
so, it depends.
So there isn't a magic famous number, I
There's
guess.
no number where it's the cutoff of well, you've graduated to being famous. Good job. You get nothing.
You may consider some of the YouTubers we mentioned earlier famous.
Yeah, like Markiplier, Jacksepticeye,
yeah.
or like Game Grumps,
And I would consider them
FTP,
famous. And they might even at this point admit that they're probably famous because they fill theaters of people.
Yep.
Massive theaters. I went and saw them. Crazy.
Yeah.
Seats were filled, And it was an awesome show. And people consider them famous. And I don't know at what point they finally did. Because when I first listened to the Game Grumps, when they first released their first playthrough, which I think was like the Goofy game or something like that on SNES.
Something like that.
Back when it was John Tron. Sorry, I just grossed out. Maybe at that point they wouldn't have considered themselves famous, but also everybody knew Aaron Ego Raptor for his awesome series on Newgrounds. Maybe at that point he didn't consider himself famous.
right.
It's a tough number. I don't think it's something that a lot of YouTubers focus on too much, and not to say it's not important in its own right, but I don't think that famous, for me, is ever the goal.
Yeah, it's not really the goal, at least not to the two of us. At least we've talked about this before. It's not the light at the end of the tunnel that we're striving for constantly, but it's important to know upon some threshold when you have a significant impact on people, because then what you say holds a lot of weight to a lot of people, and you have to be mindful of that because it becomes a responsibility for you as a public figure of sorts. But at what point does one consider oneself famous? That's debatable.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
Good question, though.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
definitely.
Sorry we went off on a tangent.
Hi.
I have a question.
Yes.
My friend forgot her badge, and does
Oh.
anybody know where the ball is?
It's gonna be upstairs. Yes, in the ballroom.
Badge because she forgot.
Yeah, no, it's gonna be up.
Okay.
I'll be back.
Okay, so
Run like the wind.
we'll see in a bit. One more question, then we got to move on to the next slide, I think.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a headset with a built-in microphone. Does it need a pop filter, yes or no?
It would help the quality.
It does kind of help at least a little bit, so that you don't have to be so careful about all of your P's and your S's and your K's being suddenly "Pah, my eardrum just got stabbed." And then it's just really abrasive for people to listen to upon those little finite moments.
The killer game about the pop star really popped out to be.
You want to know something?
Yeah.
No,
Dogs barking.
What?
I have 3 dogs and they like to be guests in my videos.
Oh.
Right, so then there's that.
Yeah.
So
Background noise.
pop filters are kind of helpful. So whatever you can MacGyver or just spend a couple dollars on, it does do wonders.
Again, sock on a microphone.
There you go.
Next slide. Now that we spent half an hour on one.
Okay, so this is when you get into the real meat of it, of actually producing things. You have the
Yes.
ideas in your head and you want to actually get them outside of your head to someone else. So producing content.
Yeah, producing content.
Ideation, which is just a fancy word because I like fancy words. It's a fancy word for just thinking of ideas. It's your train of thought.
Exactly. It's something, and normally I think a lot of people, especially when they YouTube, isn't necessarily just I want to YouTube.
Right.
Now what?
What do I do?
Yes, and not to say that's not invalid, but I think a lot of people, for me and for you, I think, was I have an idea that would fit on YouTube. That's the medium that's good for what I want to do.
Right.
So when I want to do Let's Plays, guess what everybody does Let's Plays on? YouTube. What do you know?
Wow.
So that was the
Yeah.
ideation on my part.
Yeah, it was almost the idea came first and then YouTube was the means to the end. More than anything else, it wasn't I want to do YouTube and I could put this on it. It was I do this. Other people should probably be able to see it maybe if they enjoy it. YouTube's great for that. It's the afterthought that comes from it.
Yes. different types of content. Obviously, we have quite a couple listed out there, and that's not even all of them.
These are just a few of like the iceberg of ideas. And as we mentioned, like everybody on YouTube does, like there's so many different niches and genres on YouTube of what you can do. Different avenues, whether you're doing something that a lot of other people are already doing or you think of something that seems completely original that nobody's even thought of yet.
It's perfect. I love that you see so many creative ideas come out of this. Talking about just a couple of formats, we'll break them down just a little bit about what they are specifically. So Let's Play is what I talked about doing. Literally, let's play a game is where that came from. We're going to play a game together. Well, I'm going to play a game and you're going to watch. Is kind of the idea. But
people do it for different reasons. Either
Exactly.
they're not super gamers themselves, but they like to just like know what's in the game and watch someone else go through it. Or they're like, man, like I'm interested in this game, but I don't want to drop $60 on it and then like find out through my own gameplay that it's like not my thing. So I'm gonna watch somebody play it for like 2 episodes and then be like, yeah, I'll play it myself.
largely unreturnable games.
Right.
Yeah.
So
And I have figured out that I do not like games through Let's Plays. I watch somebody else play it, and maybe they enjoy it. I'm not saying like how they feel about it, but I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad I didn't pay for that game, but now I'm watching it for this person. So that's always a really fantastic experience, learning that, oh, well, actually, I really like this person's content. I like the game. I'm not going to buy it for myself, but man, they're entertaining. You know, it's how they respond to it. Vlogs, Jenna Marbles.
Yep, Jenna Marbles is a good example of this. Sharing your experience with someone else, letting someone almost live a little bit vicariously through you.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little pinch.
Yeah, and you'll see it, and that's very valid here in the cosplay community as well. Like watching vlogs of cosplayers going around in conventions. It's a good way to like get like a secondhand taste of a convention that's really far away that you can't make it to yourself right now. Or maybe you've considered going and you watch someone's vlogs of it from like 1-2 years ago, and you're like, okay, this is the space. This is kind of what was there. This is this cosplayer's thoughts on it. How do I feel?
I just recently recorded a very extensive vlog over the course of about 5 days because I went to Disneyland and Universal Studios for my birthday with my girlfriend.
Yes.
And yeah, it was really fun. And I recorded most of the experience, and I'm going to be I still need to edit it together because it's a lot of content. But it's honestly mostly just us going around being gross and romantic and having a good time at Disneyland. There are people who I'm sure will enjoy that.
There's such like a viewership for that.
There
like,
is.
People like get a lot of enjoyment out of seeing other people being like really cute and gross and happy together.
Well, let me show, really quickly, let me show how gross this is, because actually my girlfriend is here. Mandy, would you stand up and show everybody your back right now?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then right now, like, yeah, so. We bought these together and wore them on our trip because we're gross. And it was fun. Ew, ew. And then we're actually cosplaying as Disney tourists right now. I have Maleficent ears over there somewhere.
Oh yeah, I know they're right there on the table.
Yeah, perfect, yeah. So that's kind of like a good example, I guess, personally, for vlogging, is, hey, I had a great experience doing this thing. Now I want you to kind of join me on that experience.
Right.
It's really gross, so get ready for that, but here we go.
Yeah, if you want to watch it, you are more than welcome to. And if you don't, I have other videos. Go check them out. But like, yeah, it's like you can vlog something for like specifically for like informational purposes to like share something, and be like, okay, this is what this place is like. I'm going to show you all the ins and outs, and you can make your own judgment.
Yep.
Or it's like, hey, I'm going to record my own memories of this, and then if you enjoy it, then you have that right.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what those are for.
Beauty and makeup, all the gurus out there. We all watch them for different reasons. Their personalities are great. They've got a cute face, or you learn something.
Yes.
Or all the above.
That's not my style. My style would be how to not do your makeup. Like this.
There you go.
Bad at it. And I took classes on stage makeup, so I should probably read back over those at some point.
Oh, that was my favorite class in college.
It was so much fun.
So good.
Oh, Scar Day.
I scared everyone.
Scars.
What?
Oh,
Yes.
oh. Scar Day, when you do scars.
Oh,
on the
yeah.
face, yeah.
They didn't let me leave the classroom one day because
Really?
they looked too authentic. They were like, campus security is going to stop you. And I was like, but I want to go to my ballroom class because they're super chill. And I went in there with a mustache one day. They were like, oh yeah, no shave November? Yeah, same, bro. It was great.
Uptown has a mustache suddenly.
I looked like an evil duke. It was great.
It's like I just
I have
popped it out.
pictures. It's fantastic.
The next thing, creepypasta. I love these. So quite literally, take a creepypasta. If you don't know what that is, it's a horror story online, written by somebody online, largely not famous authors necessarily. Some of them might be. And then narrating that. A lot of creepypasta, not bloggers, but YouTubers, like Mr. Creepypasta, don't just flat out read the creepypasta. They add sound effects, they add eerie music, they add some visuals. They're not necessarily acting out a video of it, but they have images that might pertain to what it is they're talking about.
Some visual, some auditory things to sort of enhance the listening experience.
That sounded like a tutorial for a second. To enhance your listening experience.
Is that my next avenue of my channel?
Yes.
Dance and singing stuff. That was really instantaneous. Hi. And so people will just like put their talents out on the internet a lot of times too. There are people who are like professional dancers and stuff that do things. There are people who do singing covers. Covers are a huge market on YouTube. There's tons of people that do it. Closest thing I would do would be like my lip syncs and stuff like that. But
They're so beautiful.
But yeah, there's lots of people that do that, like covers, or they'll write their own original music and get started that way. I mean, like there's people like Troye Sivan is a good example of that.
Justin Bieber.
I was, I'm not gonna say I thought of him first, even though I definitely did, and I was.
But that's a good example.
That is an excellent example.
Well,
Justin Bieber.
However you
That's
feel
how
about
he got started.
Biebs that's how he got started, was putting himself out on YouTube.
Yeah.
For better or for worse.
That's how it started.
That's how it started.
That's how that thing began and was born. And sketches and comedy.
Yes, sketches and comedy. So like what Dana and I did with Anime Hunters
Right.
was sketches and comedy.
Yeah, and that's a lot of what FDP does, is sketches and comedy.
Exactly, and those were largely cosplay based, but they don't always have to be, of course. We
Yeah.
know like, who's some of the big ones? Was it?
Niga Higa is
Niga
one.
Higa, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
One of my personal favorites. Does a lot of like things full of puns, which give me life. Lots of comedy things there.
Yes, who does the Malk one?
Oh my
Give me a
gosh.
glass of Malk.
Right. Malk.
Is that
Malk.
Malk. Give
Malk.
him the Malk, John. That one. Mandy, who's that one again?
Oh, I don't remember.
Oh, okay.
I don't know the
Yeah.
name of it.
Who is it? Julia Smith. Thank you
Yeah.
very much. Yes.
There you go. So
Kids
there's
in the
that.
Hall. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah,
so.
there's like those like well-known like iconic ones that are born and then they stay forever.
We'll start doing the skit together.
Yep.
You know the ones.
Becomes your inside joke reference and it's great.
And that's one of the fun things that I think is great about YouTube, is that shareability,
Yes.
that emotional connection that you make, is that now you have that thing with your friends.
Yep,
You know?
and so many different styles from different people because there's so many different kinds of humor, and you click with what you click with.
Surprise.
And then product reviews and unboxing. It's
yes.
another big one. People that just like review stuff, so you can like watch them open a pretty package, and then they're like, look at this pretty thing I bought, so that you didn't have to buy it, and then you can decide if you want to buy it or not.
There are guys who literally do this with fast food. They go around, and often their videos are recorded in their car,
Yep.
because they drive through, pick up the newest fast food item, and then they eat it in their car and go, I'm about to eat the new double down crossover with Taco Bell, where they stuff the chicken with beans and rice and cheese, as well as put a hot dog on top, and they made it smile a little bit. I'm gonna eat that now. I'm gonna tell you what it's like. It's great. You should definitely try it out for $5.99.
And then they proceed to say, sponsor me Taco Bell.
Right.
Right, they're like, not sponsored by Taco Bell. Please sponsor me Taco Bell. What?
Yeah.
There's some executive right now going, that's not a bad idea.
Now wait a second.
I mean, they did come up with the KFC Famous Bowl,
That's true.
and
That's
the
true.
Double Down, and the terrible things that exist. So that's the kind you can do if you want to eat fast food and review it and put it online.
Yeah, and like technology is another popular one for that people review. They'll be like new microphones or cameras and be like, this is a comparison of like video and audio quality. And like I watched a ton of those when I got like my new camera, or like I was looking at like Blue Yeti things and stuff. I was like, show me all the reviews. I did so much research.
Niga Higa.
Yeah.
Did one with microphones.
Yep.
It was amazing.
It was so good.
Yeah.
You did so well. I was like, you're so good at this. You're so good at everything. So please stop.
I think he literally bought like a $20 microphone, a couple of others, and then like a $2,000 microphone. He didn't buy it, he rented it. Or they loaned it to him. Something along those
Something
lines.
like that, but
yeah.
it was so helpful.
And he did an original song into them, and he basically then talked about like, okay, so you heard this and you heard this, and why was this one good, why was this one bad, and like at what point does money no longer get you any more quality? Like
Right.
at one point do you spend $500 and then $2,000 and still hear the difference?
Right. All that wasted money that you just like dropped on something. Did you need to? Was it worth it?
Unless like you have the money to drop like that. At that point I'm wiping my ass with ones. It's just like, oh, I enjoyed my gold toilet. Oh my goodness, the toilet paper is money.
And look at that. Where was me?
What is a quarter?
Aw.
Oh.
Basically.
Yes.
There is you can actually buy gold leaf toilet paper.
Why?
You know, honestly, I wish I could say I was surprised by that, but I'm really just not because the internet's awful.
Everything is off.
Oh.
People are awful.
Oh.
And then there's, you know, the last one, the miscellaneous things, or
The weird shit. So when I searched weird shit, I didn't come up with much on Google image search, but then I typed in the bizarre shit and it came up with that, which is JoJo's
JoJo's Bizarre Adventures,
Thank
you know.
Yes. So that's what that is.
stuff happens on the internet. You know, there's that weird side of YouTube. We've all been there.
We've all been
Please
there.
don't share your stories too much,
How to basic.
basically.
Yes.
Yes. Literally the guy who like starts out look like he's gonna do something and then suddenly he's like pouring milk over it and slapping it with his foot.
Don't forget
and
the
doing
eggs. There's
the
always eggs.
Always eggs, yeah. And he's
Oh,
like
yeah.
slapping a fish between his empty thighs and just like it's ridiculous.
You know, you never
You
know
know,
what
the
you're gonna
weird
find.
stuff. So, and now everybody's like, start searching how to
And they're
basic.
like, no, oh, I gotta see this.
Proceed with caution.
Proceed with your own risk.
I know what you're saying. I was like at 3 a.m. like, oh no, I'm on the weird part of YouTube.
Right, it's like you've been following like your recommended sidebar and just clicking random stuff, and then you're like,
How did I get here?
what am I
What?
doing here? What is this? I should have been in bed 6 hours ago.
Suddenly you're watching that YouTube video labeled "How were Hitler and elephants connected?" And you're like, "How were they?"
Please tell me, I need to know. I'm listening.
It's 4 a.m.
And then like different styles of doing all these different things. And this comes back to like you as like with your different persona and your style and like the quality that you put out with whatever you have on hand and if people like you or not and just finding your own niche of things.
Yes.
Trying something new is not a bad thing. And like people are like, "Oh my god, you've changed. What happened to you?" And it's like,
dare
I have more ideas than just that, and I'm gonna do them. Sorry about it.
I hate to go back to, not hate to, I love going back to Travis McElroy talking about his character on Adventure Zone, a D&D podcast they do. And he has his character that he does, that he created. And he has fans that come to him and say, that was very uncharacteristic of your character. And he's like, it's not because, surprise, it's me. So anything he would do would be characteristic of that character. Just kind of a thought. So don't let people tell you what your content is, because again, that sounds really simple. But
And like,
it
and on
is.
YouTube, you as like a channel owner and making things, you are a YouTube creator.
Yeah.
You're creating the stuff. It's coming from your head. You do what you want to do. And nobody gets to dictate that for you.
Don't let anyone tell you what you're gonna do with your life.
You can be anything you want to be if you just believe.
Do you want to make videos about how Hitler and elephants are connected?
Yeah.
You can do that. Also, if you do, please link me because I'd be very curious about what that is. So.
How well can you sell us on this? We're here for this. We'll live
I will
stream it or
listen.
something.
We will. I saw 2 hands up, I believe. So you were first. Now I'll get to you. Yes, you.
Okay, considering what you mentioned about different types of content, I figured considering my kind of odd sense of humor, for the stuff that isn't going to be Let's Plays or unboxing is going to be pretty much some combination of comedy and the weird shit.
There you go.
Right,
Perfect.
and like it can be a mishmash of a lot of different
The
things.
weird shit when it doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
And don't forget the satisfying videos, like 1000 degree knife versus.
Yes.
Oh heck yeah,
Oh,
like
I
the
love
slime
satisfying videos.
and like the kinetic sand thing.
Yes. Oh, I love the satisfying videos. They're so fantastic.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a big ASMR fan, so like
There you go.
that's my weird side of YouTube that's actually good in my
stuff.
opinion. I'm just like, yes, I'm here for this, and it's like great. Put me to sleep. I'm stressed out about life.
I get home and say, I want to be satisfied. Oh, a channel about satisfaction.
I'm here.
Did that sound weirder than I intended it to? Did it? Anyway.
Moving on. I'm not gonna dwell on that too much.
Satisfied. Sorry. Wrong without me.
Don't apologize for being used.
I'm my own content creator.
Uptown, isn't this where you go PG-13?
I gave up. Oh hi. Where did this come from?
At a panel that
Ah.
I ran.
Oh.
You know, there I go. I'm multi again. It's fine. It happens.
Let's keep going.
It's whatever. Moving on. Also, don't be afraid to replicate again. This is the thing about like be
Yes.
inspired by people and the things that you like, but don't plagiarize. There's a difference. Be mindful.
And even in presentation and acting and being a Let's Player, for example, you can definitely do that. I've seen a guy try and be PewDiePie. Regardless of your feelings on PewDiePie, it was so obvious he was trying to be PewDiePie. He was not doing what he is. He was not being honest.
Nope.
He was also pretending to be scared at this very unscary game. So he was like jumping back, going,
Really?
"Whoa, that's whoa!" And it was
So
very
scary.
I played the game and recorded it, and throughout my whole channel, I'm going, this is shit. Actually, and at one point in the video, I said, I'm not uploading this. And then I put text in that was like, sorry, I uploaded this. You can find it. It's called Silent Dreams. It was supposed to be like a spiritual successor to Silent Hill
I
PT.
watched this and I was like dead at the end.
It's
I was
so
like,
bad. It was a bad mirroring. So you know PT, that Silent Hill game that like everybody was doing? It was like a little test game where you go down the hallway, right, and it turns right. It turns right, right? This game, Silent Night, that was it. It was a Christmas song.
Yeah.
Silent Night is an exact mirror of that. They literally just copy pasted the game, but the hallway goes left. That's all that happens. You turn down the hallway, everything else is the same. Just
it's
replicated.
brand new, guys.
Except the problem was it was mirrored badly, so the girl, like the bald, like ghost girl,
Yeah.
like kind of glitched towards me, and you could tell her face was like badly rendered, like. So she like lifts me up because I never played PT, so I was expecting to be scared. She lifts me up, and I'm like, and then you hear me go, "I'm not uploading this. I'm not doing this.
Sorry, I uploaded this.
Sorry, I uploaded this." Anyway, moving on.
The actual filming process. Oh boy.
Yes.
Good stuff.
Yep, set a timer. I have recorded Let's Plays that go for a half an hour because I went, oopsies, forgot to set a timer.
Mine are all like around 20-ish.
Yeah, and that's
That's
you
like
know.
an internal clock that is just
Yeah.
like, I feel like it's been about 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's like, you know, you could do a half an hour to an hour of Let's Play if that's your style.
Oh yeah, some people do like really long episodes, and other people keep it to like 20 minutes or less. And it kind of depends on like, and that's one reason you stay with certain YouTubers. It's like, hey, I like shorter episodes because then I can just like watch it on a break and then
Yeah.
go back to whatever it is I'm doing.
Digest.
Or longer things you can have it in the background, or just like sit down for an evening, treat yourself, and like this is what you do when you want to
Donkey.
chill. Yeah.
Donkey. Bake some cookies.
Right,
Exactly.
basically, yeah, no, that's literally what I would do to unwind.
I'm going to plug my own channel for a second, even though we're doing that later, but often on my videos I drink hot chocolate because I think it's cozy. So if you want to have a cozy time, you can watch my stuff. You can join.
I want chocolate.
Chocolate.
Now, but I can't have it.
We don't have any here.
I know.
We'll get some later.
Go to
Okay.
Starbucks and get
Anyway, sorry, that's later. But yes, filming, setting a timer. For instance, Game Grumps. You hear Dan or Aaron sometimes where they say, "Oh, I think it's about next time on Game Grumps." And they go, "Oh, really? Oh, right. Well, next time on Game
there
Grumps."
it goes.
Whoosh, and then you hear them talk for a minute. It's over. About 12 minutes, sometimes 15.
Yep.
They have a time limit that they follow, and it works great for them.
They've got their system, their routine, and you find that as time goes on, or maybe you've already thought about it for like months, and then you're like, "This is what I'm doing, and I know it," and that's cool.
Yeah.
Sure.
There you go.
What you gonna do?
Boom. That is for you to figure out. The
Yep.
point is, set a timer. Otherwise, you cannot trust your own brain clock because it's off. It doesn't work.
It's not always perfectly
Sorry.
reliable.
Yeah. Yeah, I've leveled up. So you'll see a lot of videos drifting around 720 to 1080p. That's the higher set resolution. 480 is the step down to get the graininess, the